On this episode of ResiWeek, we talk about a DIY version of the Amazon Alexa. Also, how do integrators retain and motivate their employees, and how to help your clients do their own homework. All that and more next on ResiWeek.
The network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
This is ResiWeek, Episode 9, recorded Monday, March 28th, 2016. Alexa Skynet. ResiWeek is brought to you by our fine group of underwriters, companies like Crestron. This is ResiWeek, the weekly look at the residential aspects of the audiovisual industry. My name is Tim Albright. I am your host. With us this week, first and foremost, Miss Heather Sidorowicz from Upper New York. You know her on Twitter as TechG. Good morning, ma'am. Or afternoon, rather.
Good morning. Yes, good afternoon. How are you today?
Good. Also with us...
Living the dream?
Yes, living the dream. Also with us is my buddy and pal from New York, New Jersey area, Todd Anthony Puma. Hello, sir.
How you doing, Tim?
Good.
Thanks for having me.
And last but not least, a first-timer here, so please be nice to him, you two veterans, you. His name is Jason Knott. He is the chief muckety-muck over at CE Pro magazine. Hello, sir.
Thanks for having me. Finally, I made it. I've made the big time.
Well, yeah, so this is episode 9 of Resi Week, and it's weird, right? I typically did not do residential folks on AV Week. And so Jason is clearly, and CE Pro has been around forever and a day, clearly a residential market magazine. And so I met Jason a couple of years ago, I think at one of the CE Summits. Met him in person for the first time, good guy. And yeah, finally getting him on. So
yeah, when I met Tim, you actually had a bow and arrow in your hand, and so I was a little nervous, but you had a little team-building bow and arrow episode.
It was neat. That was thanks to our good friend Jeremy Burkhart from Origin Acoustics. That was the end of that CI Summit, and yeah, we got to shoot bow and arrows. I don't think I hit anybody, but you know.
Well, sounds like Jeremy.
Yes, it definitely sounds like. If you don't know,
that's actually one of the tamer things that Jeremy does. Yes,
it is. That's all I'm going to say about that. Let's move on to the stories. So here's on this one, we'll kick off with this kind of DIY thing. Comes to us from The Verge. Amazon has posted something on their website on how to build an Echo speaker. If you're not familiar with what Echo is their Alexa, right? Alexa is where you can walk in. Hi, Alexa, turn on my lights, or hi, Alexa, turn on my security system, or order me, a sandwich or whatever from Amazon, right? It's an Amazon product.
Now you just did that
I know.
in countless people's house.
Well, I don't have an Alexa, so I don't know what I did.
Done it for others.
But here's the thing. The fact that they posted this DIY piece, right, is kind of interesting. And the idea here is that you can take a Raspberry Pi. Let's get specific here. You have to take a Raspberry Pi and a couple of a USB microphone and a USB speaker, and you can build your own Alexa. Now, Alexa, the proper one, I think, is $180. They're coming out with a mini micro version for $130 here real quickly. But why I grabbed it is the fact that they are introducing, in effect, third parties, right? The ability to build and code for Alexa via a third party or a secondary piece. Todd, we're going to start with you. How does this DIY? What does it tell us about how Amazon is looking at or courting this whole third party thing? Whether that's Crestron or Control4 or somebody else, maybe.
Well, they understand that there's an opportunity, and not only the DIY market, because customers are looking for voice activation. If current clients that are looking for the voice activation through Alexa, and they currently have a system like Crestron, this is an offering to get in everyone's home. Also gives them more exposure where they wouldn't have it before. The term DIY, I don't like using it anymore because it's not something you could do yourself. It's something you need assistance on, it's something you need to train on. It's something that you can't just pick it up and go like an iPhone. It's not that easy to set up. Electronics need guys like us. What Amazon does understand is that they are going to need to branch out just out of the streaming services and music and start getting lighting control locks and, you know, all us Crestron, Control 4, and so on dealers, and embrace the programming or programmable market of products. And, you know, with this new product with Alexa and Dot, I think it was called, that just came out, is a $79 piece, which I'm assuming is similar to this, that could go throughout the home. So if you do have a control system like Crestron and you're speaking to it, turn on lights, you know, turn on television, turn on to this channel, you don't have this big tube laying around your home that's kind of going to ruin the aesthetics, and your wife's going to kick you out of the house for making the home uglier, which we all don't want. And you know what? I'm embracing this. I'm actually for it. I'm never for products like this. But you know what? I embraced Apple, and we sell Apple TVs on every home. It's a good door opener, and it's been a great solution. And Alexa is something that I'm looking forward to.
Jason, Todd made a comment there about.
I get my hat on.
Yeah. Oh, thank you very much, Todd. If you're not watching the video, Todd has a hat with an AV Tweeps sticker on it. If you want
to get my outfit on,
send a request to Chris Netto. He has all the stickers. So. Todd or Jason, Todd mentioned the fact that he doesn't like the DIY moniker, and I kind of get that. I kind of don't. We have a show called DIY, right, where we show folks how to do stuff. Is this maybe something then a pathway for integrators to take this, right, and to build their own Alexa-like device?
Well, I think Todd kind of hit it right on that. It's for an integrator, he should 100% be aware that there are paths out there like this. But I kind of looked at this a little bit differently. So I actually clicked through the link and I looked at it. It was 51 pages of instruction to set this up. And then, of course, you know, Tim showed the picture back of what it looked like. You know, it's not exactly.
Well, it's not pretty. No.
A pretty thing. And so here's the cynic in me. I'm wondering if part of the attempt was that Amazon is showing this to kind of upfront show all the Uber nerds, the Uber geeks, the guys living in their mom's basement. Yeah, guess what? This is possible, and you can build this on your own. But at the same time, I also added up all the product components they tell you to buy for that, and it was $63. So at the same time, for another $100 and something bucks, you can actually get the full finished product, the real deal, the Echo that looks really nice and is tried and true. And in fact, in some of the steps they were saying some of the things didn't quite work and all this kind of stuff. So part of the cynic in me thinks that they were doing this to really show you, to say, yeah, you could build one yourself if you really wanted to, but guess what? For about $120 more, you get the real deal. So, you know, buy a few less porno magazines and a few less cases of Mountain Dew, and you can do it. You can buy it yourself.
Wow, that's Jason Knott at cepro.com. All right, and you make a good point. For $100 extra, and he's right. The retail price of a lot of the components was about $60-$70. For an extra $100, you can get the actual product, and like I said, they're coming out with a light version for $130. So even less than that here coming soon. All right, Heather, down to you on this. Which side do you land on this?
Well, I'm with the guys here that I don't think that this is so much do it yourself for the average human being, the mass market, because so many of them they're not even watching HD channels and they think they are. So the people that we see every day, you know, they don't know what an Apple TV is. The last person that walked in our store today said, "Hey, I want to cut the cord to cable, but I don't know what streaming is." Okay, so this is where the mass market's at. These are the people who are walking in. So they're not built. They don't even, you know, Raspberry Pi. They're going to think that's a dessert. Not certainly something they can put together. So, but what I think Echo is doing is this is next generation stuff too. We have an Amazon Echo and it sits in like our breakfast island. And my girls they're 8 and 9 years old, and they talk to her. They say good morning to her every morning, because every morning she has a tidbit. She has some kind of piece of information. Today is Lady Gaga's birthday, and she was born this way.
Oh, geez.
today. So, they're going to grow up just like they're not going to know what channel surfing is. They're not going to know what commercials are because all they watch is Netflix. The same thing is they're going to grow up with understanding voice recognition, certainly more than any of us do. So as these children or even the millennials, I think that this is smart. I think voice recognition is going to be big, and I think that Amazon's growing and doing that. And I'm surprised we haven't seen more from Google, from Apple. I'm surprised we're not seeing more devices like this.
Well, Josh is out, right? Did you ever hear of Josh yet? The artificial intelligence?
I've heard of it, yeah, but even Josh is it's not one of the main ones out there yet, right?
That's
Todd,
correct.
do you have Echo? Do you have Amazon? Or
Yes.
You do?
Yes, I'm
And
actually working with it now.
Are the kids playing with it?
I haven't got to that point because it's kind of my toy for the moment.
Look it up in your kitchen and watch your kids play with it.
Okay. That's
It's
something we'll do.
really fascinating because that's how your clients are going to play with it too, right? And it's their children who are going to ask.
Let me ask Todd and Heather this question. What do you feel? I think voice control is progressing so rapidly, and I agree with the Echo is so great, but has this completely just wiped out the thunder completely from the Apple Watch that 18 months ago was like, whoa, here is the new interface. Now you don't hear a lot of people talking about Apple Watch for home automation.
I agree. The Apple Watch, I think, was disappointing. The way it was brought to market was exciting. There was a lot of over-promising, and then once you got it, you're like, what is this thing? It doesn't do anything. Automation, I can't even control anything on it. So its thunder was lost. I think the way it to market was poor. And sometimes when you oversell something, there's a big disappointment when it doesn't reach those levels for people. The Amazon, anything with voice control, customers every day, even before Amazon came out with Alexa, has been something they've been asking for. Hey, can I control my house and tell it to turn the lights on, do this, do that? The one question I always ask my customers is, you want to talk more when you're done with the day? Don't you just want to sit back and relax? Because your mind is moving. When you're telling something to turn on or you're telling something to do a step, that takes a thought, right? When you're using a remote control, your brain is kind of doing it naturally. It's like walking or riding a bike or whatever it may be. You're kind of getting in the driver's seat at that point, and you're doing an extra step that's going to make you even more mentally stressed out. I think that this is great. People do want it, but once they get it, they're not going to use it because I said.
Todd, I think it depends on where you're using it too. Because I agree, I like my remote in my living room.
Right.
But when I'm in the kitchen and I'm making dinner and I'm running around and I can say, Alexa, add milk to my shopping list, and it's there, and I'm doing two things at once now as my ADD brain goes, that's the part that makes it a bit of the beginnings of a game changer for me. Now, there's no Sonos. I think that would be a huge game changer is if Alexa and Sonos work together, that I could come in, unload groceries and say, Alexa, play Sonos Lady Gaga and station and or play shuffle. That's really what's going to start to change the game when we have to stop worrying about getting the phone out and pressing a button or three and being able to use those kind of recognition.
But Art, don't you?
Go ahead,
sorry,
Todd. No, go.
Don't you have a fear, like anything, even right now with programming and the way things are built, all these companies really don't work that well together, even though they say they work great. Now we're going to take voice operation, promise to a customer, say, hey, turn on Pandora to whatever, hit station 80s. And it's not going to do that. The customers are going to call us just like the cable companies. We're relying on this third-party manufacturer that pardon me for saying this, but there's no margin to be put into it, and we're going to be dealing with all the service calls. We're the first end of when there's a service-related issue. We take care of more problems for Cablevision, Comcast, and Fios, and we should be paid for all the calls that we don't get sent to them.
Plug it back in.
Yeah, but see what we're doing, and the same thing's going to happen with Amazon. I think not Amazon, anyone with this voice control is we're going to be engraved into solving their issues, and then we're going to have to up our pricing to support these kind of related issues. And I'm afraid to add anything into my system that I am not taking control of 100%, that a firmware update might screw up the user experience, and then will disservice myself and lower my rating to my customers because of some other service
But
or
don't
some
you
other
think
provider.
we don't really have a choice? I mean,
We
it's
don't.
great to say we don't want to, but we don't really. At this end of the day, do we have a choice? Right? This industry is very much change or die, and that's
You're
what
right.
it has to be. Is we have to stop thinking about product and start thinking about service, and say, great, I'd love to talk you through this, and I don't know, maybe it becomes I got to charge you for my phone call because this is where we make our money now, and it's not off this tangible product anymore.
Right.
I don't know. It's definitely changing.
Let me say this: isn't this kind of where your value comes in, though, as integrators? Right, comes back to this integrator part. And I think last week on ResiWeek, we hit one of Todd's stories about what to call yourselves, what to call residential integrators. There are companies now. I know that Clear Control showed integration with Alexa. I know that you can do some with Control 4. And something tells me that you can do it with Crestron, even though you may have to jump through some hoops and do some coding. That's the integration part, right? You guys are right. I've got a 3-year-old Ford, right? It has Ford, my Ford Touch in it, right? It's voice. Right? It's a 3-year-old car. That means that people have been on the road for at least 3 or 4 years with this integrated in their driving experience. I think you guys are right in the fact that they're going to take that and people are getting used to that. You know, Generation Z, which are Heather and Todd, your kids, and Jason, your kids, and my kids. That's the generation, not the millennials. Those are the folks. Those are not the folks we have to worry about anymore. It is that next generation coming up, who really and truly have lived without the internet, or have not lived without the internet. Really, truly have not lived without smart devices, and now they're getting used to talking to inanimate objects and expecting a response and expecting just the back end to work, whether it's Lady Gaga's birthday or, my kids can push a button and, they can change the channel in my car. Todd, isn't that kind of what you guys do? I mean, isn't that like the next evolution of the home integrator?
It is what we do, but don't forget, selling the value is a lot harder than it was when there was less of us. There was more integrators out there, now. Everybody's an integrator. Back when I first started 12 years ago, you couldn't throw a rock and hit an integrator. It would be literally one integrator every 20 miles. Now there's an integrator every 20 steps you make. Electricians, plumbers, HVAC guys, which I guess are
I'm
similar,
sorry, plumbers?
Plumbers are getting into this with the Nest and HVAC.
Okay.
Everybody is taking a part of our industry and making it into theirs, and they want in because they understand there's profitability, but it's also killing the value of this industry. And because everybody's offering it, there's another service out there. Customers only read or research what they want to kind of make better for their price point. They don't realize that we have the experience. We are the professionals. When there's a guy out there for 12 years in business and there's a guy out there for 1 year in business, that's where you do your homework. You can't do your homework anymore on, sorry to say that I never compare two brands, but Control 4 versus Crestron. That doesn't matter anymore. The brands don't matter. It's just a product. It's just a black case. All those black cases are behind me. They light up and they don't do much to the customer. They're just something that's taking up space. Where the value is and the research needs to be made is in the integrators, how long they've been in business, what we found on them online, what services they're offering, what experience they have, where is their level of experience, and no longer put into, okay, this product, okay, it works. It's $50 to set up or $250 to set up. That's where the homework needs to be laid, no longer in the products and integrating the products together, because anyone could do it, any brand could do it can do it somewhat well, not great. And I don't even know, I'm kind of lost in my thought right there. I just went into my head and I watched
it. It was a good run while you had it there, bud. It really was.
That's where the thought went away.
All right.
Sorry.
Let's move on to one of Jason's.
That kind of segues us to Todd's article.
It does.
It does. We'll go there. I was going to go someplace else, but let's do that. Todd wrote a nice piece about doing this very thing, doing your homework. So and the story real quickly is and I'm going to synopsize Todd's own words. I don't even know why I'm doing that. He's here. You had a client, you gave them a proposal, the GC or the contractor gave them a different proposal. Their proposal was markedly less than yours, and then you looked at the proposal and there were glaring holes, right? There was no power for the WAPs. There was other things missing. And you asked a good question, and I'm going to ask the same one back to you guys. How do you help your clients do their own homework? Heather, we'll start with you and end with Todd on this. Heather, how do you help your clients if in a situation like this or something else where you've got a situation where you're helping the client, through a process, and yes, price does matter, but so does the performance of the system.
Something that I have learned over my 14, 15 years here is every client is not your client. So a lot of this has to do with that I have found that's working for us is that your clients have to be partners. So it comes to the relationship you create with the clients themselves. And some of them are going to look at you as in you work for me or you do what you told. For us, those are not our clients and we have to let them go. I had a similar situation happen, Todd, to your story, not so long ago that we did a crush run system over 3 years for a client. This is ridiculous, like buildings underground and tunnels that connect other buildings, and he added on additional buildings underground and said, hey, I want this crush run in these other 3 rooms. And we price quoted him. He said, well, for a different independent non-crush run system, I got a quote that was half as much, so I'm going to go with them. Now, that completely had holes in it, and there is no chance that they're going to be able to connect these systems. But the client at the end of the day no longer wanted to be a partner and come up with the right solution. They wanted the cheaper price. And at that point you say, great, good luck to you. We're here because you're going to call us later. And 9 times out of 10 in my experience, they come back. So I've had this happen over the years of clients that feel that they've been wronged or they disagree or they have a better solution and they leave. And you say, good luck to you, and you burn no bridges. And I find that these clients tend a few years later come back and go, yeah, I made the wrong decision. Can I come with you now? And sometimes we say yes, and it changes the relationship. And other times I've said absolutely not. And that's a really, really hard thing to learn.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you got to get burned probably once or twice before you're able to do that. But I think it was Rich Fregoso who said, sometimes your most profitable job is the one you don't take.
Yeah, and that's valued. That's absolutely valid. Jason, you've heard numerous stories over the years. How would you advise integrators to help educate their clients?
Well, I think this is a great article, by the way, and I kind of just looking at it from even a bigger picture perspective and kind of leading in, based upon what Todd was mentioning a few seconds ago. I find it interesting to juxtapose this compared to what you see in the security industry. So in the security industry, it is a heavily licensed industry. So most states, I think it's about 36 of the states actually have licensing in place, whereas the low voltage industry has shunned away from that. And in the security space, you actually find security integrators who work hand in hand with the licensing bureau to set up stings to try and catch unlicensed security integrators submitting bids on projects, whether they're residential or even big, large consumer ones. And so I kind of put this in, and I would ask this question back to Todd and Heather and what their thoughts are. Is this industry, and again, as much as I'm a person who loves free enterprise and doesn't like the government intrusion, but if we're to the point where we have an integrator every 20 feet, as you say, Todd, is the low voltage industry ready for some sort of licensing?
Oh yeah, I've been telling Vin Bruno. So wow, I can't even talk. I think right now. All my thoughts went away with the original conversation. But yeah, Vin Bruno, I've been telling him that we need the structure at this point. We need to have something that labels us as professionals, something that separates us from this and them. At this point that we don't have anything. And we need some kind of licensing. Why not? If they did it for the security guys and they did it for electricians over hundreds of years or whatever it's maybe been, why can't we get it? I think we're at that point. We have grown. We're in everyone's home, and even contractors plan on putting us in their homes as a pre-built.